is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Word of Mom Radio here on the Word of Mom Media Network. I'm your host, Dori DeCarlo, and it has been my honor for 12 years to be bringing shows to the air that are breaking those myths that mompreneurs and businesswomen, especially those of us building our businesses from home, that we're just dabbling in between bake sales and getting our nails done. We're not. We are smart, we are savvy, and we are sharing the wisdom of women in business and in life. And I'm looking forward to bringing our guest in today as our first author in our Authors Alley for 2025. Cathelina Duvert, a graduate of Hofstra University with a degree in creative writing and literature, is known for her insightful and authentic blog posts on her website, Cathy's Cross, A Depressive's Positive Perspective. The blog chronicles her personal journey battling depression and resonates with readers seeking understanding and inspiration. During the school year, Cathelina focuses much of her energy preparing lessons and teaching her 7th grade ELA classes. She lives in New York City, and The Box is her debut novel I'm excited to share with you. So with all that being said, Cathelina, welcome to Word of Mom Radio.
Oh, thank you so much, Dori. I appreciate the platform. I appreciate you for this evening.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. And I have to say, I really enjoyed your book. I got very involved in the characters in it.
Oh, I'm
really
so glad to hear that.
No, it was really well done. And I want you to take us on your journey because we were talking about it a little before we started. Depression is such a silent thing.
Yeah.
And most people who are dealing with depression feel like they are completely alone.
Yeah.
They're so isolated. So I applaud your blog and you taking your personal journey and sharing it. So take us. When did you first start realizing you were depressed and what you did to combat it and everything?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Thank you. I first realized that something was wrong when I was around 25 years old because I did not know yet that I was suffering with depression. And writing was something that I always loved to do. It was just something that was natural in me. I just loved to write. And so I started writing a story that I hoped to be a novel about a young woman who was going through emotional issues. That's what I called it because I didn't know. And it was supposed to be me. That's how I was letting out what I was going through, the darkness that I was feeling, the anger, the self-hatred that I was feeling. And it wasn't until one day I was just hanging out with my sister, and out of nowhere, I just burst into tears. I was crying. My sister, who had always been around me, feeling within these emotional outbursts, was finally like, we have to take care of this. And she's the one who searched for a therapist for me. And when I went to therapy, that's when I was diagnosed with depression. And I was like, okay, that's what my main character has. She has depression. And so as I was going to therapy every week, which I really felt it was helpful. I'm a huge believer in talk therapy. So as I was going to talk therapy, I was using that as a sort of research for my novel and in what my main character is going through with her therapist. And then so I started doing a lot of research online about depression, about medications, and just a number of different types of depression, what people experience, what are the different symptoms. And that's where, a lot of the information that I reveal in the book comes from, all that research. Now, this was a long time ago. This was about 25 years ago that I started this. And I let it go. Yes, I let it go for a very long time, and I became a teacher. I put it on the back burner many times. Even, as a teacher, I have summers off. Even as a teacher, at summers off, I was always so depressed, so much in my head. So I didn't even look at it until about 8 years ago. I picked it up again, and I was like, you know what? I have to do something with this book. And I learned so much more about depression since then. So my novel takes place in 2002 because that's when I started writing it. And I didn't want to combine what I learned recently with what I learned back then. So I made sure to keep it in 2002 and the information that I knew in 2002. But what I revised was what I learned more about myself and how I dealt with depression and how I was able to overcome it. And that's what I put into the book along with my main character's story.
And it's such an interesting story. She's also a writer.
Yes.
And I like that you tied things in, having that personal understanding of it.
Yes.
For you, what are some of the things that you have done to combat depression?
So it's interesting. The things that I do to combat depression, I found completely by accident. So my sister and two of my cousins, we decided to do this challenge where we would exercise every day, and we made it into a game. We give ourselves points for exercising every day. And then from that, we were like, let's read a book together, a self-help book together, or a personal development book, and talk about it and get together every week and talk about it. So we did that. And then they were like, oh, there's these really positive motivational videos on YouTube. Let's listen to them and talk about them. And we started doing meditations and affirmations. And I tell you, all of that together is what helped me combat depression. I didn't even know I was doing it, right? And all of that together, including my talk therapy, I really believe is what helped me through my depression.
I think that's awesome that you
Yeah.
created your own group to work together to do that.
Yeah, I think it's so important that we need to have that support, right? And it has to be, I feel, well, I don't know if it has to be, but in my case, it was the support about with like-minded people, right? We were all doing the same things. We were all looking to improve ourselves, and I think that that's what really helped me overcome that hump that I was feeling in terms of my depression. We didn't start it in an effort so that I could overcome depression. We didn't start in that. We just enjoyed being with each other. We enjoyed learning. We enjoyed thinking about new perspectives, and that's what really helped us. And I love that.
Did you ever go the medical medication route?
Yes. Yes, I did. And I'm glad that you asked that. And I really believe medication will help a lot of people because I found what I normally do now to overcome depression. I just don't feel like I need the medication. Mine wasn't a very serious depression, although it was debilitating. So when I first sought therapy, when my sister was the one who found therapy for me, I was immediately put onto Zoloft. I was happily put onto Zoloft, I have to admit. I called them my happy pills, and I gladly took them until I started getting a rash on my neck, on this side of my neck. And I didn't know what it was. I would drink teas, I did all the stuff that I needed to do to get rid of the rash, but it wouldn't go away until it was discovered. My doctor discovered that it was the Zoloft that was doing it to me. I did get off of Zoloft, then I went on to another medication, and then I left my job. My father had passed away. I was going through this like, no, there's got to be more to life than this, So I quit my job and I became a substitute teacher, and I lost my insurance. And so now I wasn't taking medication. And even though I milked it to the last bit that I couldn't afford new medication. And that's when I started with my sister and my cousins. That's when we started doing all that stuff. And then when I realized it took me a few months to realize that I was getting better without the medication, but because of all the stuff that I was doing. And so ever since then, I felt like, well, why should I take medication if all of this stuff that I'm doing is working for me? So I highly believe in medication because it can help people get over the debilitating feelings that they're going through. But in the end, for me, I'm going to say for me, I feel like I don't need that medication because I've discovered something that helps me deal with the depression.
We've shared a lot about depression on our show, and I know people that we've interviewed and things that have talked about their experiences, and Zoloft, everybody called it their happy pill. They were just so thrilled, and it got them over the hump,
Yes.
but all felt the way you felt. That, you know what, I know it's there if I need it, but if I
Mhm.
can get that chemical imbalance regulated in my body and I can do these other things
Mhm.
to keep me off medication. I have one that realized after about 5 years, she started sinking back again. She said, you know what? I went on for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
It got me back, and now here I am again.
I love
So,
that.
yeah, it's awareness. And
Yeah.
it's also breaking the stigma
Yeah.
of it because
Definitely.
people really, again, it's that silent thing that you can't see depression.
Yeah, you can't see it, right? When we mentioned something a little bit about get over it, I had people who were like, "Oh, she's crying again. Get over it. You have to get on with life." These things that people told me that I started internalizing as well. And I used to be like, "What's wrong with me? Why can't I just get over this?" But sometimes you need that extra push. And if it's going to be that medication that'll help you get to a place where you could think clearly, but like, okay, what else can I do to help myself? Then do it.
I agree with you. And on that note, we're
Mhm.
going to take a quick break because I want to get into the book and I don't want to stop talking about it.
Okay.
So we're going to say thank you to our sponsors, and we'll be back here in just a moment. She is brave, she is bold, she is you, and we want to tell your story. Are you ready to share your journey with us on Word of Mom Radio? Go to wordofmomradio.com and register as a guest. We want to tell your story because when you win, we all win.
In 2017, Unsilenced Voices was formed to help survivors of domestic abuse and gender-based violence worldwide. The organization currently serves Sierra Leone, Rwanda, Ghana, and the USA. In 2022, Unsilenced Voices gifted over $33,000 to survivors in the USA, and in Sierra Leone, there are over 26 young girls who have been rescued from sex trafficking and domestic abuse and now going through vocational training school in order to better their lives. We need your help. Donations are critical in order for us to continue our work. We also need volunteers to help with research and development. Please visit unsilencedvoices.org for more information.
And we're back here on Word of Mom Radio. We are talking with Cathelina Duvert, and I want to talk more about the box. You said earlier how you had started writing this book, you put it aside. Now that you have it out there, how
Mhm.
does that feel?
It feels amazing. When I first published it, when I first held it in my hands, and I couldn't believe that those words in the book were actually from me. It was just so surreal. It was just like I made this. This was all from my head. So it felt really, really good. And I have to tell you that I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about it. One woman sent me a message saying this book literally saved my life. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And she told me that that she cried through the book and it made her realize that, the aspect with my main character Mia in her place of work. She says, I finally felt seen. And she says, I had the book in my hand while I was in therapy today, and I was actually crying and talking to my therapist about it. And that made me feel good. That no, it didn't make me feel good. It made me feel like what I went through for a reason. There was something bigger than me out there, that I was meant to put this in words. I was meant to help somebody out there. It felt amazing. It felt amazing.
It
It feels
has to.
amazing. Yeah.
And it's such a good story, and the whole idea of the box and
Yeah.
the secret
Yeah.
and finding out those things. And let's face it, our parents, there's so many things in our parents' lives that we know nothing about,
Yeah.
you
They
know?
do the best that they can with us, don't they?
Right. You're wanting your parents to be there for you and things like that.
Mhm.
And when they're not, we don't know what's gone on in their life.
Yeah.
Boxes,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
it's yeah.
So I want to segue to your blog,
Hmm. Okay.
Kathy's Cross, and a depressive's positive perspective. I love the title.
Thank you.
And what made you do the blog?
So, believe it or not, I started off blogging like I'm gonna say about 10 years ago. 40s. I had not yet married. I didn't even have a prospect for marriage. And I was like, why is this my life? Right. So I started a blog called The Reluctant Bachelorette, The True Confessions of a Reluctant Bachelorette. And it was supposed to be fun and witty and all that stuff. And then I found somebody. I started dating someone and he proposed and we got married. And I was like, well, I'm not the Reluctant Bachelorette anymore. So I had another blog called Tie the Knot. And then when I realized that Tie the Knot wasn't really uh, resonating with me, I decided to stop that, and I thought to myself, I wanted to continue blogging, but I wanted it to be meaningful. And that was around the time when I realized how I was able to deal with my depression. And so I was like, why don't I write about that? Why don't I let people know what I did in order to deal with my depression? And that's where that was born from. So it was all about me trying to remain in a positive perspective. Everything, all the things that went on in my life, the things that I looked at as tragedies, maybe they weren't tragedies. Maybe they were signs that I needed to look at my life in a different perspective. And so that's where that came from. And it really made me look back at so many instances where I was really in a depressed state and I was really low and try to look at it in a different perspective to say, well, okay, this is what was happening then. And I felt this way because of that, and it really, really helped me. It was part of my therapy. It was so therapeutic for me. And I felt like I was born to do that, to just share what I went through in that personal capacity. That's
What kind
what
of feedback do you get from people that read your blog, Kath?
so there were a lot of people who wrote back and saying, I didn't know what I was going through until I read your blog. In one blog post, I wrote about my slight agoraphobia, where I have this fear of going outdoors. That's what I was suffering with in the summertime because I'm a teacher, I'm off from work, and people expect teachers to do all these things during the summertime because they have all this free time. And me, I felt like, well, I just want to stay indoors. And there were times when I was like, okay, I'm going to go for a walk today. I'm just going to go outside. But something held me back and I didn't know what it was. And I struggled with it. I even called my sister crying. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't leave the house, you know? And when I wrote about that, one of my friends read it and she says, oh my gosh, I go through the same thing. I never knew. I thought it was just me. And so I had a lot of people just writing to me, telling me I go through the same thing, or not even I go through the same thing, but just now telling me their own personal stories of how they've overcome certain hardships. And I found it so refreshing that me opening up and telling mere strangers about my personal life opened them up to tell me about what they were going through. And I thought that that was just amazing. I thought that that was such a beautiful thing. So that was some of the feedback that I've gotten.
Again, as we said before, so often people who are dealing with depression and just think they're alone, nobody's going to understand how I feel.
Yeah.
Nobody is experiencing this. Or if I tell people, they're going to look at me differently.
Yes, yes. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I wrote in one of my blog posts, that I I went through this feeling like people would look at me differently or look at me strange if they knew what I was going through, and all this stuff that just stays in my head. And if I'm not gonna speak it out, it's just gonna stay there and it's gonna fester, you know?
That's right. It's amazing. The things that we tell ourselves
Yes.
and the hamster wheel that we can get on. And you don't think that you're going to get off. And then all of a sudden something happens and you read something, you
Mhm.
meet someone, somebody says something that
Mhm.
clicks,
Yeah.
and it makes such a huge difference. So what do you want to say to that listener who's just now realizing they're dealing with depression or going back into a depression cycle?
What would I say to them? I would say first and foremost, don't don't try to put yourself down for it. Don't start thinking that there's something wrong with you. Try to really listen to yourself. Think about what's happened. Why am I feeling this way? And then find someone you trust. Find someone you trust who you know will have your back, who you know will support you, instead of saying something like, so you're experiencing something, you're experiencing depression. Everybody goes through that once in a while. Find somebody that you trust, because I had that in my sister and I had that in my cousins. And then seek a therapist if you're able to.
Again, it's amazing that we're in the 21st century
Mhm.
and people still will hide that they're
Mhm.
seeing a therapist, will hide
Mhm.
that they need help for something.
Right, right.
It's crazy
Yeah.
that you don't look and applaud. So I liked Tyree.
Tyrese, yeah.
I liked his attitude
Yeah.
about things.
Yeah,
And,
thank you.
they were such real characters. I mean, they were so fleshed out,
Thanks.
you
Yeah.
know?
I worked hard on all the characters in that book. And Tyrese's character is actually everything that he said were the things that I learned throughout my journey with depression. So he was that voice that I needed to hear when I was going through it. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, these are the wonderful things. That's why I love this show. It's so interesting, especially an author, to find out what gives you the ability to create that story and taking from your own life and then creating a different life with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Sometimes I have to tell you, Dory, sometimes I would look at the book, look at the words and be like, wow, I still can't believe it came from me. Sometimes I think that way, like, wow, I created this world, these characters, and it's a pretty good feeling.
It should be. You should be so proud of yourself because
I
it's
am.
really a good book.
Thank
It's a
you.
good book on a lot of levels.
Hmm.
It really is on a lot of different levels. It's a really good book. It's a great story, great characters, but it hits a very important topic
Hmm.
and it hits it realistically.
Hmm.
It's really not sugarcoating stuff,
Hmm. Yeah.
you know?
Hmm.
So good for you.
Thank
What's on the
you.
horizon? What's new? What's coming up next?
Well, I'm currently working on taking all of my blog posts and creating a journal out of it. So after each post, I'll have, a question for the reader to think about, to reflect on, and they write their own thoughts based on what post that they just read. So I just thought about it. I thought that that would be a nice idea, because since I've been talking about my story with depression, my own personal journey with depression so much. I figured, why not just offer my blog in a book form and just have it as a journal for people to reflect on.
Well, I'm going to throw it out there that when you do, back to Word of Mom, because I'd be really happy to read that and share that.
Thank you.
Because again, everyone needs to know they're not alone.
Yeah.
Depression is such a silent killer.
Yeah, it really is.
It always makes me think of Robin Williams.
Like,
He talked earlier in his career, he talked about his severe depression.
did he?
Yes. And it's very rarely talked about and stuff, but I can remember hearing him talking about his depression
Mm,
and things. And he was so funny and
mm,
so amazing and so loved, but you never know what is going on when those doors shut.
yeah,
And that feeling of nobody understands,
yeah,
nobody knows.
yeah.
And so I think what you are doing with your blog and with this book are really awesome. So as we're wrapping up, what would you like to leave our listeners with and how may they reach out to you?
Okay. So I would like to tell your listeners that if there's anything in your world that you feel like you cannot live here without an art form, painting, drawing, gardening, anything, immerse yourself in it. I really feel like writing has saved my life. Writing was there for me and it didn't let me down. So whatever your art form is, whatever you want, you need to immerse yourself in, just do it and see what comes from it. I really believe in that. You can reach out to me on Instagram, Cathelina Duvert. That's my handle. Right now, I'm still working on my website, my personal website, cathelinaduvert.com. And I'm on LinkedIn as well. You can reach out to me there.
All of Cathelina's links are going to be live, including a link to her book and her blog.
Thank
I
you.
encourage you read the book,
Mhm.
read the blog, and reach out. And just please remember you are not alone. You are not alone. If you take away anything,
Mm.
take that away with you. So, Cathelina, thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you
the
so
time
much.
to be here with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation.
My pleasure, and I look forward to having you back
Yes.
when you publish your blog.
Okay.
It's a journal, I really do. So thank you. And for all of you tuning in, thank you so much for being here with us. We're going to close out with our fabulous theme song from Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers. So till next time, this is Dori DeCarlo saying go out and create a marvelous you. Bye for now.
She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is you. Sure of herself, yeah, she takes care of biz. Powerful and strong, yeah, she knows who she is. Has integrity, woman strong and true. You know her by name, see this woman is you. She is sure, she is sure. She is strong, she is strong. She is true, she is true. She is brave, she is brave. She is bold, she is bold. She is you, she is you. She is you, she is you. She is sure, she is sure. She is strong, she is strong. She is true, she is true. She is brave, she is brave. She is bold, she is bold. She is you, she is you. She is you, she is you. Adds value and hope, has proved to be brave. See, it's never too late, never time to behave. Reaching for dreams, doesn't matter the age. Believes in herself, unleashed from her cage. She is sure, she is sure. She is strong, she is strong. She is true, she is true. She is brave.